Deep in the jungles of Central America, there are old stone cities with tall temples and wide steps. If you look closely at the stones, you will see strange and beautiful carvings. Some look like faces, others look like animals, hands, or shapes. These are Mayan hieroglyphs. They were used by the Maya people to write words, numbers, and stories more than 1,000 years ago. The Maya lived in what is now Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and parts of Honduras and El Salvador. They were great builders, artists, and thinkers. They made calendars, studied the stars, and kept careful records of time. To do this, they needed writing. Their writing system was one of the most advanced in the ancient world. Mayan hieroglyphs were made up of hundreds of symbols. Some stood for whole words, others stood for sounds. The Maya could put the symbols together to make names, dates, and full sentences. For example, they could write the name of a king, the date of a battle, or a prayer to the gods. Some glyphs looked like animal heads or faces. Others were shapes with little lines or dots inside. They were carved into stone or painted on pottery and books. Only trained people, called scribes, could write these symbols. Scribes were important in Mayan cities. They worked for kings and priests. They kept records of the calendar, history, and religion. They wrote in books called codices, singular codex. These books were made from bark and folded like a fan. Sadly, only a few codices survive today. Most were destroyed when Spanish soldiers came to the Americas in the 1500s. The Spanish did not understand the books and thought they were bad. They burned almost all of them. For a long time, no one knew how to read Mayan hieroglyphs. The meanings were lost. People saw the symbols on stone walls and temples, but could not understand them. Then in the 20th century, experts began to figure them out. One man who helped was Yuri Knorosov, a scholar from Russia. In the 1950s, he showed that the symbols stood for both words and sounds, like a mix between pictures and an alphabet. Other scholars continued his work. They studied old carvings and the few codices that remained. They compared the symbols to the spoken Mayan languages, which are still spoken by people in Central America today. Slowly, they began to read the writing. They found names of kings, lists of wars, and stories of gods. One king was called Shield Jaguar. Another was named Bird Jaguar. These names carved in stone had been silent for centuries. Now they could be heard again. Today, we know a lot more about the Maya because we can read their writing. Their glyphs tell us about battles, royal families, games, and even what they ate. They also wrote about the stars, the planets, and time. The Maya had many calendars. One was called the Long Count, which tracked thousands of years. You can still see Mayan hieroglyphs today in places like Palenque, Copan, and Tikal, old cities deep in the forest. The carvings are on stelae, stone monuments, temple walls, and staircases. Some are so detailed they still look sharp after more than 1,000 years. Mayan writing is one of the great writing systems of the ancient world. It shows us how smart and creative the Maya were. Their glyphs are like voices from the past, telling us their stories one symbol at a time.